Welcome everyone tonight to our Zoom call. We are so excited to have our special guest, Andrea Mitchell. She is a diamond ambassador with Plexus. And I've just gotten to know her through the Plexus business, so that's just another bonus benefit, making new friends. We've actually gone on a road trip together to Indiana and had a great time. She has a wonderful, very touching testimony she's going to share with us tonight. And she is also, a great goal setter. She went to, the top to diamond rather quickly. So she is going to share how to set some goals for us tonight. I'll let you take it away, Andrea.
Sure. Thank you so much for having me. I actually think it's a lot of fun because I see faces on here that are not on my team. They're on your team, but I didn't realize they were on your team. So it's kind of exciting to see people that I kind of see their faces on Facebook. And now I get to actually have a meeting with them. That's a lot of fun. So my name is Andrea Mitchell. I'm a diamond ambassador with Plexus Worldwide. I really started with Plexus about, I guess we'll say my whole journey with Plexus started 3 years ago next month, tomorrow. Hey. I started hearing about Plexus on Facebook. I saw some people posting about it, wasn't really clear what it was all about, and was not really interested. It was an MLM, and it was an energy drink, so I thought, no, I'm out. And a few months later, a very good friend of mine started posting about it. So I kind of knew a little bit. I asked her why she was taking this energy drink. And she said, no, my cardiologist said it's fine because she had a heart condition, which I knew about. And her son's doctor said it was fine. In fact, they were already giving him some of the supplements and ingredients that were in the products. And so I was like, fine, I'll jump in. I'll jump in as a customer. And so for my first 5 months I was a customer. About 2 months in, I had great blood work, and I had some hormone levels that were imbalanced, and blood sugar regulates your blood sugar has an effect with your hormones, has an effect with your thyroid. And so I was really seeing some great results. A couple of months later, our handicapped daughter, who has cerebral palsy, had some issues, and we knew that a probiotic and a magnesium supplement and a multivitamin would be very important for her. Within a couple of days, we saw huge changes in her life and just her body and how it was functioning. And we knew we'd kind of hit something we couldn't live without. And so months later, she's still doing awesome. I'm loving the products. Our boys are starting to get on the products. My husband's kind of intrigued. And so he asked me, is there a way that you can get this any less expensive? I was already a preferred customer. I was loving that process. And I said, well, the only other option is to be a distributor, or as we call them, ambassadors. And he said, absolutely not. You see, I have a really bad network marketing background. About 10 years ago now, I had to come to my husband and let him know that a network marketing company that I'd been involved with for about a year was actually costing us thousands of dollars. And I had to let him know that a credit card I had put all this money on with this company was now costing us so much money. We were in debt. And he said, you're just not good at it. That's not what you do. It's not your skill set, isn't multi-level marketing. And so I said, okay. And I said, but here's a couple of things. One is it's only $35 a year. We'll save that just in the discount between preferred and wholesale. That's not bad. I said, and there's zero inventory. So I don't have to hold anything in the house. The company isn't encouraging me to buy more every month to hit certain bonus structures and things like that. He said, well, that's good. And the last thing was that I don't have to have parties. We can have meetings like this. We can have great interactions online, or I can have a bunch of friends over to my house if I want to, and if it's something that is beneficial to my business, but I never have to beg anyone to come to another event. And that was huge for me. And so he said, fine. On November 30th, he said I could be an ambassador. So I signed up that day. I posted that night exactly what our story was, and I posted every single day after that. I don't know that I've missed a day about posting something about Plexus every day for a little over 2 years now. And a couple of things I want to talk to you about is goal setting. So I don't really, outside of Plexus, consider myself a goal setter or competitive. But for some reason, Plexus pulls both of those things out of me, and I really have enjoyed it. So think back to that post that you saw on Facebook that kind of made you go, I think I might sign up, or this really might be the thing that I want to do. And for everybody, it's something totally different. For some people, it's a health post that you saw. For some people, it is, a last resort. I've got to do something. For me, it was Bloomingdale's. So a little over 2 years ago, our upline Celeste went to Bloomingdale's in New York. And they had just gone to Hawaii, which we'd done before. And we were about to go to New York. So neither one of those things were like high on my must-have list. But a $5,000 shopping spree to Bloomingdale's, I looked at my husband and asked him, would you ever give me that? And he said, not if we had all the money in the world. I just don't think it's important. And I thought, that's what I want. That became my first goal. It wasn't my short-term goal, and it wasn't what I was working towards, but it always in the back of my mind was really what I wanted. It was the one thing that I thought outside of Plexus I couldn't have. So when I got started, my goals were small. My goals were to have 5 customers. So start small with your goals. Start with something that feels attainable to you. Bloomingdale's would not have been attainable the day I got started. Maui wouldn't have been attainable the day I got started. And certainly Jewel would not have been attainable that day. But 5 customers I could do. So I started out and told my husband 5 names. I stood in my kitchen. I told him those names. I kind of committed to those people. I also decided I was going to do the effort that Rosalind, my upline, told me I had to do this business, which meant posting and reaching out to people. People were not going to knock on my door and ask me, beg me to do this business. I was going to have to go to them, entice them, encourage them, show them all the things it had to offer. So there was effort involved in goal setting. So my long-term goal was Bloomies. My short-term goal was, 5 customers. Another thing I did is early on, it was probably senior gold or ruby, I went on our Destination Diamond Dream Team page and actually asked all the jewels, how long did it take you to get to each step? How long did it take you to get to each drink? Y'all, I made a spreadsheet. I averaged them out, and I wanted to beat the averages. Whether it was senior gold or ruby, senior ruby or emerald, it didn't matter. I wanted to hit those averages. I wasn't competing with a person. I was almost challenging myself. Could I do it? So just so you know my timeline, I went silver in 12 days. I went gold in 6 weeks, about 44 days, I think we counted one time. I went senior gold the next month. So 2 years ago this month, I went senior gold. I went ruby, senior ruby in March, and I went emerald in April. So really fast. I went sapphire a few months later. In total, from the day I signed up to the day I turned diamond was 14 months. So really super fast. But, I think a lot of that had to do with my goal setting, and it had to do with goal setting for my team. I wanted my team at certain places, and I encouraged them to set those goals and reach for them. Today I had lunch with somebody, and she said from January to February, they doubled the number of new ambassadors they had on their team. And from February to March, she was going to go up 20%. And I said, wait a second, you doubled how many you had from January to February. Why wouldn't you expect to double from February to March? Set your goals high. A saying I've always heard is reach for the moon, you might grab a couple of stars on your way down. You don't want to reach for 1 star, you want to reach all the way to the top. And if you don't hit that goal that month, or that goal is, gets pushed back a little further, at least grab a few stars on your way down. You want to grab something. So don't set yourself short. And I do want to say, I was listening in service this week at our church, and something that I thought was really important was that making plans and goal setting is biblical. It's not something that's against God's design. People I hear all the time say, well, I'll just let God do, in his timing. Y'all, setting goals is biblical. If you need scripture, get back to me. I promise I will send it to you. And then I want to tell you to take a couple of hours and actually sit down with paper and pen and write down some goals. Write down some short-term goals. Write down some long-term goals. Dream big. Don't sell yourself short. A couple of points I want to point out. Clarification of the problem. Why are you doing this? Write out your why. That should be the top of your goal setting. You need to know what it is that you're going after. Be clear about your problem and write why you want to do this. Visualization of the plan. We were just in a training this week and we're talking about visualizing. It's not really my word I use a lot, but I do think it's a good idea to actually think about What would it look like if we built our dream house? What would it look like if we bought that property? What would it look like if we had a free car? What would it look like if we could just pay off school loans? Figure out what your end game is with this. Figure out what you want. For some people, y'all, $1,000 a month is what they think their end game is. That's okay. Stick with that. It might change. There's a good chance that why you're doing it right now, your goal right now, you'll dream bigger in the future when you hit those goals. But start where you are and decide what that goal is going to look like in the end. Identify your obstacles. Do you know what's standing in your way? Is it fear of what other people might say? Is it the, losing friends on Facebook? Is it the awkward conversations when you're around your girlfriends at girls' dinner because they don't want to talk about Plexus? What is your obstacle that's standing in the way? I would say for most people, it's fear of other people's opinions. And then be specific about your action steps. Write down exactly what your steps are to action. If your goal is to hit Emerald by July 31st, you need to decide what that looks like between now and July 31st. Don't just say, I want to hit Emerald July 31st. Decide today what that breakout looks like, what you could possibly do in the month of March to get you closer to that goal. I'm going to encourage you, the month of March, you need to rank up whatever that rank is if you want to hit Emerald July 31st. And our pastor was talking about how a lot of times we kind of are in a fog and we don't know what the next step looks like. We don't know how to go forward. We don't even know how to take that next step. But he said, if you stand still in a fog, you will be paralyzed. You will have no idea where you're going. But if you'll take a step forward and another step forward and then another step forward, it will become very clear. The more you move in a fog, the clearer it becomes. The more you stand still, the more paralyzed you are by the fog. So if you feel like, I don't really know what this looks like, I don't know how to answer all of these questions, I don't know where to go next, take a step forward. I promise you your upline can guide you in that step. It might be a little fearful. You might not know exactly what to do with it, but I promise if you'll take that step in your business, if you'll do something, an action item, you will see progress in your business. It might be a small progress as it's not as just yourself, just doing something different yourself. I was going to write down, or I was going to tell you here, have a need that compels you when you can't see the future. Have something that's bigger than yourself. So I told you we have a handicapped daughter. Ella is 9, almost 10, and she needs a house that is fully handicap accessible. So now, 2 years later, we are in the middle of actually drawing plans for a house that is fully handicap accessible. We'll have an elevator in it for her to get to the second floor. And 2 years ago, that was not our plan. 2 years ago, that was 10 to 15 years down the road. It was a plan eventually, but it definitely wasn't in this time frame. So have a need that is bigger than your fears. Movement is required, even if it's slowly. We talked about that. Do something every single day to promote your business. And then faith. Even when we can't see it, I promise you, God knows what the future holds. He's not surprised. I tell my team that all the time. It doesn't matter if it's that you missed a rank or that you made a rank. God is not surprised by that. What I think is important is the obedience and the action when you're waiting for that next, big hurrah. It doesn't matter if you're waiting for your third ambassador to go silver. If you're doing what you're supposed to be doing every single day, your obedience will be rewarded. It just might not be in your time frame. So I just want you to be intentional about writing down your goals, knowing what it is that's standing between you and your goals, and then actually taking those action steps to move forward towards your goal. Even if it's one little jump at a time, I promise you will see huge results. And I don't know if anyone remembers when you have children, but it feels like it takes forever before they start walking or before they start talking. And we have a handicapped child, so it feels like it takes that much longer. What's amazing is even with Ella, as slow as her process is, she can't even stand on her own. The amount of progress we've made in 9 years feels slow to me. But if someone else sees her, a couple of months or, even a year later, they see huge amounts of progress. So although for me, it feels like we haven't moved at all, it feels like we're still in the same exact spot, the people around me see huge progress, and they see all the work and the effort that we're putting into it working. They see it making a difference. And then I can be reminded by them, oh, you're right, she couldn't do this a year ago. Oh, you're right, we prayed so hard for that. And now she's actually doing it. I didn't even realize that's what we had prayed for 4 years ago, and we're there now. So I would just encourage you to not be discouraged by slow progress. Be encouraged by any progress that you're making. So I hope that helps you set some goals. I hope that helps you get out, and tomorrow, March 1st, make that decision to make action and not to stop. When that first day you don't see, a PV or a customer, an ambassador, don't let that stop you. Give it 6 months of consistent progress. The same thing we tell customers to do with product, to take it every single day, month after month, record, not scale weight, but how do your clothes fit? How do you feel? Those kind of non-scale victories, those are a big deal. And so if you are an ambassador and you feel like I'm not seeing, big giant leaps in rank ups, know that the same thing happens, that making, small progress with your business is the same thing as making small progress with your health in the products. So I hope that helps a little bit.
It does help. It's funny, Andrea and I go to the same church. So I love that you put together his sermon with the goals, because I didn't really think about that until you said it. But
I was writing feverishly yesterday because I literally could not. My husband, in fact, gave me the notes page. I was like, no, I need more room. I was writing feverishly. It just connected for me yesterday.
Yeah.
What that was
and the whole sermon series is about or yesterday's was about your next act. Mm-hmm. So, right now you're right where God wants you to be, and maybe you're getting ready for your next act. So I love how you put that together. Another thing we talked about in the leadership training with goals was not to compare yourself to others, which on a day like today, we had lots of people ranking up. And, you can take that one of two ways. You can take that to help you build, I have more goals that I want to get to there. But if you sit and think about it too much, it can also bring you down. So I think it's very important to keep your eye on the prize. So today was a very exciting day for lots of people, lots of teams. And then the other thing, one thing I wanted to ask you, and I don't know if anybody else has any questions, just send them in a chat and I'll ask Andrea. When you first started, what was your favorite form of communicating to get a hold of people? I mean, was it mostly posting on Facebook, or were you picking up the telephone and calling people?
So I was just talking to someone about this today. I would say that most of my business was built on Facebook, but because I am a friend, relationship, network, just networking person anyways, I mean, I had 1,500 Facebook friends before Plexus ever even came into my life. So I loved Facebook. I loved connecting that way. And even some of my very best friends, the way I connected with them with Plexus really was them seeing my posts. And a few of them would even say now they were really annoying. It was kind of the annoying intrigue at the same time. It was like, you're really annoying, but that's happening because I might want to read that. And I'm not going to unfriend you because you're my friend and I still want to see all of your life. And I want to see all the stuff you do with Ella and the boys. But I kind of am annoyed, but I'm kind of intrigued. And so it was kind of that where I still kept so much of my life on there. I still try to, post as much as I can about my family. But it's really, that really has been a connecting piece for me. It's still just how I connect with people. I mean, even outside of Plexus, that's a big connector for me. If someone else connects on the phone, I have a diamond on my team, Julia Carty, and she would say, if you have someone's number in your phone, then you're good enough friends to call them. The phone is not my comfort zone. That is not, even my mom and my sister, we text and Facebook message all day long. We don't pick up the phone unless we have something important to really talk about. So for me, that's my comfort zone. If that is not your comfort zone, don't use that just because it worked for me, because that doesn't mean it'll work for you. If the phone is your place, then be that person. If face-to-face is so comfortable for you, be that person. that's really hard for me to be face-to-face. I love people and I don't mind being face-to-face with them, but in that, like, tell me about Plexus, I would much rather send them a document or talk about it back and forth on a messenger than to do the face-to-face. But that is just my personality. So I would say do what is the most comfortable for you. I have a lot of people on my team that say, oh, I need to talk to that. I have very specific people I can think about that have grown just by talking. You know, they have flown all over to see their friends and family because they'd rather do a face-to-face meeting with them about Plexus than they would and just throw it out there on Facebook. So really figure out what your comfort zone is and be intentional about that. Be good at what you're good at. Don't be good at what I'm good at, because that doesn't make any sense. The same way that don't write things in my voice or Rebecca's voice, write it in your voice. I have someone on my team who was reading something to her husband she was going to send out one night, and he said, that doesn't sound like you at all. And she said, well, I copy and pasted what Andrea sent me. And he goes, yeah, but you and Andrea are totally different people. Mm-hmm. Like, that's not how you talk. And so make sure you're writing it in your voice. Make sure you're doing, it's your business. You own your own business. Whether you are an ambassador that hasn't gone silver or you're a diamond ambassador, you're the CEO of that ambassador identification number. That is yours. And so own that and develop that business solely from your perspective. If you're a three-way phone call person, if you know Zooms are weird for you, but you love conference calls, if whatever that is, you know, you can do everything in the tool belt, but you can be really good at a couple of things and figure out what those niche markets are and do them really well.
Okay, yeah, I think I really like doing three-way calls and the Facebook audio messaging. I think that's great because you're still behind the screen, but it's your voice, so it's still a little bit more personal. Okay, Jen W. asks, how many people were you cold messaging and following up with daily in order to rank up that quickly?
So I didn't have to cold message very much in the beginning, and a lot of the people came to me and asked me what is Plexus, and I got to develop kind of the conversation from that. So I actually have had to cold message more in the last year. And I probably, just so y'all can see here on my desk, I have this note card file. These are all people that are not on my team. I have them sorted by first name alphabetically. And I just go through a different letter every day and check back in. It might be something as simple as, I'll go through the entire box in a couple of days. You know, when someone's new Diamond documentary comes out, and Ellen Ford, who's my level 1 Diamond documentary came out, I sent it to every single person in that box. Hey, I just want you to know about this. Hey, I know you're working. And so some of these people have contacted 12 times. Some of the people have contacted 3 times, just depending on whether they're on my kind of chickeny list or not. So I cold message a lot now, and that's really how I've grown a new position. And we were talking about the fact that I got to re-enter after reaching the top of Diamond. And what that means is I became my own level 1. So I'm now a very slow ambassador and working towards gold on my second position. And it definitely has gone a lot slower the second time around. I can be more empathetic with my team on things, but it's still a lot about cold messaging, training new ambassadors, and getting people started the right way immediately. And so I think, but I cold message probably on average 5 to 10 people Monday through Friday.
Okay. Okay, well, that leads us into the next question from Candy Phillips. She says, I feel like a talk show host. When someone has said to get back to them later on, how often do you check back in with them?
And I think the best way always to follow up is with new information. So instead of following up with someone and saying, hey, I'm just following up with you. Hey, you told me to check back in, so here I am. I think it's easier to say, hey, I know you told me to follow back up with you, so I wanted to follow back up and give you this information. I wanted to follow back up and tell you what I just found out. This post reminded me of you. I wanted to send it over to you. If you're giving them new information, you have something new to talk about. Following up with them, they may not even know what questions to ask you. So remember what it was like when you first got started and someone said, are you ready to sign up with Plexus? And you're like, I don't really exactly know what it is. Again, still, even though you've told me it's not registering. So I would always give them new information. I would say tonight on a goal setting call, someone was talking about setting goals and really who do I want on my team, and your name comes up every single time. And I just want to tell you that, that God puts you on my heart, or I just feel led to call you and just say, are you ready to do this? Are there more questions I can answer for you? Or I just was talking to my upline yesterday, and I can ask her questions whenever I want to. So if you have some questions, I'd love to have them so I can ask her or him. So I think there's, a lot of ways to introduce new conversation without saying the words, hey, I'm just following up, because that's so closed. It's not open-ended at all. I wouldn't respond to that. So think about what you would respond to, how you would want to be approached. Hey, I saw this article. Something new, I think, helps a lot. Every single Thursday when a new Diamond documentary comes out, that is prime real estate to send that to a cold message or a follow-up and say, hey, thought of you when I watched this. They live in Tennessee. They live in a small town. They were in an herb store. I know how much you love herbs. That was James Shoshana last week. So find something they can relate to in that Diamond documentary and send it over to them. I think that's really important.
That's a good idea. I like that. The Diamond Docs every Thursday. Okay, so Catherine asks, what you do outside your warm market. Do you find now that you've re-entered? Are you out of your warm market?
Well, my warm market is huge. We go to a massive church. And so I feel like I always have warm market there. Not everybody at our church is, in the business at all. A dear friend on the call was, my customer for 2 years before she became an ambassador. So, there's still warm market everywhere, and different people have different timing. So you can think you've reached out to everyone, but to remember that 18 months later might be the time where they're like, okay, now we need $500 a month. 2 years ago I didn't need it, but now I need it. Or now my health is bad. Or now, my parent just died and I want to make sure I'm around longer for my kids or something like that. So you need to remember that different people have different timing, that just because you started today and you are ready to rank up doesn't mean it's the right time for them. So being intentional about insensitive to other people's timing, I think kind of grows your warm market. And because I don't expect everyone to sign up today. They're still nurturing your relationships and really explaining the product. I had someone last night, really think it's an energy drink, and he's been watching me for 2 years post about the product, and he still thinks it's an energy drink. So, not everybody out there really understands what our products do. But I'm also growing my warm market. I have 3 kids in school. Every year, my littlest one has a different group of parents for some reason. Not a single parent in his class is an ambassador. So I still feel like that's a huge warm market at school. I go on a field trip. That's a warm market of parents in a different classroom. I work, we had 2 galas this last week, one for Ella's school, one for the boys' school. I'm meeting new people all the time. I'm constantly friending people that are not Plexus ambassadors on Facebook. I love people. I think it's easy to meet new people. My husband, introduces me to someone he works with, at work, or someone new, and I friend their wife on Facebook. And that's not new to me. That's something I still would have done before or outside of Plexus. I was always like that. If I see someone post an old picture from elementary school and I think, oh, I remember her, I totally forgot about her, I will friend her on Facebook. And it's not about Plexus, it's really about relationships. Mm-hmm. So I love relationships. And so I think nurturing relationships and wanting to develop actual relationships that are not Plexus ambassadors is really big for growing your warm market. I don't think we should look at everybody as, could they be a part of my business? I think they could just, can I pour into them? Can they pour into me? And then eventually, if they ask you what you do and why you do it, you can talk to them about that. But I think really developing relationships is more key than finding people that might join your team.
Yeah, and thinking about whatever new experience you're in, where am I? What am I doing now? Like you said, new classroom, field trip. Always have that in your mindset that there are new people you could contact. Okay, we have another question, and this is a good one. Can you put into words why my new silvers need to do all they can to get to convention this year? She struggles with explaining how powerful it is.
Yeah, so one of the best things I think about convention last year and then coming into this year is that ambassadors are going to be doing so much of the training. So a lot of what you're going to hear is, this is how I did it. This is what you needed to grow. Last year they had them broken out by rank, and I believe they're going to do that again this year. And so if you have a silver ambassador that wants to grow their business, that really wants to invest in what this looks like, I think they need to be there, because they're going to get silver training from a diamond ambassador. And they're going to hear, hopefully, a new product launch. Cross fingers, everybody, cross fingers, not kidding, say prayers, that we have some kind of new product launch. We usually do at convention. And so that's a neat thing. You want to be the first one there. Seeing those people walk across the stage for a lot of ambassadors gives them a goal. So a lot of people go to convention with not a lot of, I don't really know what I want next, but they see someone speak at convention. They see someone walk across the stage, get a giant check, this year a jewelry platter, maybe a Rolex, and something triggers in them of, I want that. I either want to help somebody I didn't think about helping. I want to be on stage next year. I need that check for my family next, at Leaders Retreat, whatever the next big thing is. I think convention is a great place to get a lot of goals. You gain a lot of goals there because you see so much stuff. But I think the training you'll get there is unlike anything else. Plus just the camaraderie. So we've talked about the fact that we're not really on the same team. What my team does doesn't affect Rebecca and vice versa. But you get to meet people that you can really form a bond with and then grow and kind of be sideline buddies with. So you can talk about exciting things. You can talk about concerning things. You can use each other's contests. You can grow each other. And I think that's a really neat thing about convention, is the sideline friendships that you'll develop that'll actually help you grow your business.
Yes, that's true. And it's been great. It's a good way to get to know people. And I've had so many diamonds like you that have been gracious and come on and do our Zoom meetings. So yes, that is great to build friendships there. Okay, let's see. Amy West asked, how do you bring it up to your kids' class parents?
Well, I currently have on my Plexus Proud sweatshirt. I probably have more swag than I thought I would ever own. I kind of thought swag was kind of an odd thing. So find swag that fits your personality. Don't find swag that everybody else is wearing. I actually have a girl that makes me my own because there's, I like certain things. And so I have her make it for us. And I think that's probably the easiest way. I'm always drinking my pink drink at chapel. In fact, the senior Ruby on my team, the reason she signed up is because she's like, what is that? Parents saw me allowing my boys to drink out of my, pink drink water bottle at chapel. And they went, wait, you're giving it to the boys? I was like, yeah, it's not harmful to them at all. And then they kind of were piqued about it. So I think there's a lot of different ways. Moms always ask, so what do you do? Do you work outside the home? Oh, I can't believe you can be a room mom. Oh, I'm so grateful that you get to be on every single field trip. I wish I could go on any field trips this year. Those are all openers to, you could do this with me. I'm not special. You could totally stay home and be an ambassador with me and do this exact same thing. Sometimes breathing belief into somebody that they don't believe they could actually do it is life-changing for them. So that's how I bring it up. In natural conversation, the same way I'd bring up, where I get my lashes done or, what hair tie I use. I mean, it's all the same thing. Just talking about, what I love and what goes on in my life.
Yeah, you definitely have to find the swag that fits you. I did not own my first Plexus t-shirt until I bought one from Ellen Ford when I was an Emerald.
And the same girl that makes Ellen makes mine.
Okay.
All of ours.
Super cute. Okay, let's see. I have two people. This was back to the convention thing. Jessica Gross and Rachel Rogers both said that convention, when they saw people walk across the stage, that they said that was going to be them the next year at convention. And I know Rachel's Emerald. Jessica?
And Jess is on her way.
Okay. All right. That's great. Okay. So we'll do one last question because I don't want to keep you all night, and we appreciate your time. So Ashley Farrenholt says, how do you go about getting your first couple ambassadors to silver or getting their first ambassador?
Okay, so I think silver is the key rank. If you really want to do this business, I think getting yourself to silver and then getting those people to silver is the key. every single month. And that doesn't stop when you actually go silver. So even though I'm a diamond ambassador, I still try to go silver every month, which means I still try to get 3 new ambassadors every single month, level 1 to myself. So I think the goal is to get those 3 people to silver as well. And so I really think silver is kind of our sweet spot in our business. And all that is 3 ambassadors. And for some people, that's really easy. For my sister, it was my mom, her husband, and a good girlfriend. So that's usually pretty easy for some people. For me, it wasn't. My husband wasn't going to sign up. My sister did sign up. A girl from the boys' school and a girl I went to high school with. And I think going silver is really about posting about the products. But then when people ask you about them, is explaining all 3 ways to buy. That retail is full price, that preferred is a discount, that auto ships to you every month, and that both of those offer the 60-day money-back guarantee. The cheapest way to buy the product is wholesale. Then if you would like and you like the products, you can share those with anybody and you can make money off of them. And showing someone how they can make back their cost and maybe make a couple of $100 over that is key to going silver. If you can show someone how they can sign up the cheapest way, get the products the cheapest, and then make a little bit of money just by sharing products that they already think they're going to love, that's really key. And I don't think you have to wait until you have great results with the product or have even a testimonial to share, because we have so many testimonials. There isn't a single team someone's on that doesn't have 3 to 5 testimonials that they can't just automatically give a new ambassador and say, here, you don't have a story yet, but use these. Friend these 3 or 5 people. Say, this is my teammate with Plexus, and here's their story. Then it looks personal. You've tagged them. And that person can go silver just by sharing stories with other people that matter, whether it's migraines or just aches and pains or just fatigue, anything that feels like your body's just run down. And you can private message those to people. Say Facebook isn't your thing. You can email that testimonial and say, hey, I know you've talked about having fibromyalgia. Here's a testimonial that goes along with that. Then it's compliant because you're doing it privately. You're not telling them it's going to cure it, but you're sharing with them something that you know can matter to them. And I think that's really important. I think silver is key. Going silver yourself every month, getting your 3 ambassadors, is all about sharing your belief in the products and in the business every single day.
So how do you go about getting a new ambassador to go, for them to go silver? How do you motivate them?
Well, all I can do is encourage them. So, not that it happens to everyone, but I think the greatest thing is to start with a list of 5. What 5 people do you want on your team? Okay, growing that to 100 people is going to be key, because I have 230 names in here. My market is not done. And I'm not, people can't say I only know 100 people. I don't know anyone that doesn't know 100 people. Add your mail person that you hug every time you get your Plexus package, and, hug the person at the gym that you're grateful, has stuck with you for all of this time and is actually starting to see progress. All of those people should be on your 100-person list. And so I think if you're actually diligently working through that 100-person list, contacting people if they're not contacting you, if you're cold messaging every single day, 5 people, if you're not getting to silver with that rate, I think you need to screenshot what you're sending and send it to your upline and maybe rework your wording. Maybe your wording is just a little off. Maybe you're too wordy. If your initial message is this long on a Facebook post, if they're having to scroll through Facebook Messenger to get through your novel, you need to work that down to, hey girl, I'm working with this company. I think you would be awesome. Here's a couple of reasons why. Message me back. Done. Hey, you follow up. Here's a documentary of a girl that reminds me so much of you because she's working a job and has kids at home. Whatever it is, but be intentional and be personal, but make that person know that you really want them on your team and why. What benefit you think they bring. People love to be complimented, and that's a huge compliment when you say, I want you on my team.
That is wonderful. Great advice.
Sure.
We appreciate your time. You're wonderful as always. I love your wisdom and your knowledge. I think we've got everybody's questions answered. If anybody has something and they didn't ask tonight, they can always ask me and I can follow up with Andrea later. So I'm going to stop recording, and I would like my team to stay on for a few minutes. And we love you, Andrea, and we appreciate you.
Bye, y'all. Thank you for having me. I really appreciate it.
Oh, thank you. I'll send you the link, okay?
Perfect.
Thanks.
Bye, y'all.